Ladies and gentlemen, it is my hope that you're doing fine. Recently, when addressing media stations from Abagusi community, the likes of Agesa FM, Rigathi did the usual, attacking the government that is halved in, pretending not to be part of what is going on in government, even though he was there, and praising those things. And of course, as usual, accused Ruto of everything from here to Jupiter. That was expected. However, there's something that caught my attention. And if you watched that interview or address, you would agree with me that Rigathi did not mince his word when it came to Matiangi. He made conditions, 2 conditions. 1, that Matiangi has to have his political party. Without mincing words, a Gusi kind of party. And 2, ensure that he has the full support of the Abagusi behind him. And why did he say this? He said that that is what will bring Matiangi to the discussion table, to the negotiation table. He went ahead and said that him, as Rigathi, was already controlling Mount Kenya. And if he told them to do this, they would do that. And so Matiangi, for him to be considered a worthy opponent or partner in these negotiations, he had to come with a party and 2, the kisses behind him. Now, in this video, we explore those 2 things. Is Matiangi going to form a party? If he is going to do that, what happens to Jubilee? 2, can Matiangi get the support of the Abagusi the way Rigathi expects? If that is a topic you're interested in, stay tuned. And if you're watching this channel for the first time, take a moment, subscribe to the channel so that anytime we come up with videos of this nature, you will be notified. Like I said, Rigathi did not hide his dislike for Matiangi. And before you say that I'm overthinking, I look at it this way. Matiangi was being popularized by who? Jubilee. Jubilee Party is being led by who? Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta is the single most political threat Rigathi is facing in Mount Kenya. Not anybody else. Because I told you, Kikuyus have abandoned Ruto, most of them that is, because Ruto brought in Raila Odinga into their government. Because of that, they want a leader. And they have 2. They are siding mostly with Rigathi, but they have a room for Uhuru Kenyatta, should he decide to be active politically. That is why you would see the same people praising Rigathi also praise Uhuru whenever he makes some statements. Some of them being misconstrued, but whenever he makes some statements, you would see the same people praising Rigathi, praising Uhuru Kenyatta. So Uhuru is the threat. Initially, Rigathi thought that if he apologized to Uhuru Kenyatta, showered him with praises as our king, kijana wetu, rais wetu, mwenye alitufanyia kazi vizuri, this way Uhuru Kenyatta would soften his stance and endorse him, because Uhuru, considering, has retired from politics. So Rigathi was like, I praise you, then you endorse me. Uhuru refused to buy into that. Instead, it seems that Uhuru is keen on reviving Jubilee. And not just reviving Jubilee as a national party, but making Jubilee be the party for the Murima. And this is a threat because, as you know, Rigathi Gachagua launched his party yesterday, the DCP. And this party, I have told you here severally, has nothing to do with being a party for the people of the mountain. There are several parties that are being led by the people of the mountain. Rigathi could have joined any, including Jubilee. Rigathi wants control. That is why he formed this party. He believes if everybody is going to be under that party, it will help him decide who becomes what, where, and how much. Uhuru with Jubilee and being the ones that are fronting Matiangi complicates things for him. So Rigathi, based on that, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't like Matiangi. He will only like Matiangi if Matiangi was to be vying via his party. So if Matiangi today was to join his party, Rigathi would be happy. However, if he can't get that, at least he wants to get Matiangi out of Jubilee. That is why he was giving that condition, that Matiangi should form his political party, a Gusi party, kinda. So that if he's removed from Jubilee, then Jubilee is no longer a threat. Because if Jubilee is having a presidential candidate in the name of Matiangi, it complicates things for Rigathi. Because in this negotiation table, it will be that the Murima wants to endorse Matiangi through which party? Jubilee, which will make Jubilee the de facto Murima party, which will kill the CP of Rigathi Gachagua. You get that point? That is why Rigathi is very keen on Matiangi doing two things. Either he vies via his party, which is DCP, or he forms his political party. He comes to the negotiation table. That way, Matiangi would have reduced Jubilee to nothing because Jubilee will be without a candidate, a presidential candidate. So can Matiangi form his party? I don't think so. He can. I'm not ruling out possibility of Matiangi forming a party, so don't misunderstand me. However, the political optics don't favor him. And what do I mean by that? Matiangi is said to be Uhuru Kenyatta's project. Trust me, Matiangi doesn't have the wherewithal to run a presidential campaign in Kenya. Presidential campaigns in Kenya are extremely expensive, and they need serious money to support it. And so Matiangi can only go to this race with the support of Uhuru Kenyatta if Uhuru Kenyatta is going to bankroll him. Now, if Uhuru is bankrolling him, then he must be going into this race through Jubilee. He can't form his party and expect Uhuru to bankroll him as Jubilee dies, because Uhuru is busy reviving Jubilee for the same things. Rigathi wants DCP to be popular so that you have control. When you have control, you are sorted for life. That is why I'm saying Matiangi is not likely to form his party as Rigathi is urging. That is one. But even if he formed his party and he came with the party to the negotiation table, it would be considered a very small party. Can Matiangi form a political party? I don't think so, because he's beholden to Uhuru Kenyatta. But even if he was to form one, I don't think Rigathi is going to take him seriously. It would have just served to sever the links between Matiangi and Uhuru Kenyatta. But then Rigathi would find a way of diminishing that party and even asking him to join DCP. Two, the second question that we are handling here. Can Matiangi get the support of the Abagusi behind him? And when I say the support, I am talking of an overwhelming majority. This has happened before, ladies and gentlemen. In 2002, Simeon Nyachai vied for president, and the Abagusi people voted for him to a man. In fact, Ford people, the party through which Simeon vied, scooped almost all the seats in Kisii and areas that Kisii dominate. Now, can that repeat itself in 2027? It's possible, but it will require the same thing it required in 2002, the certainty that the candidate, their son, is going to the ballot. So you see, currently, that is not the case. Matiangi has announced that he's interested in being president. However, the Kisii people still see him going to Amunyoro to talk to others. They still hear Matiangi say that some of us will have to swallow our ambitions. So they are not so sure that this man is going to the ballot. And without that, he cannot get the overwhelming support that Rigathi was demanding as a prerequisite for negotiations. So you get that. If he wants to be supported by Kisses in an overwhelming manner, they must be sure that he's going to the ballot no matter what. Kisses will stand with their own if he's going to the ballot. But if he's not going to the ballot, it won't matter. They will just vote the way they have voted since 2013, where they will give most votes to Raila and other votes to whoever they want. It will not be a big deal. Remember, at that Kisii, there were a time where Uhuru Kenyatta got more votes than Raila in Nyamira. And even William Ruto did not perform below average. He had over 36% in Kisii. So that is what will happen. But if Matiangi was to be sure and assure them that I'm going to the ballot no matter what, they wouldn't care whether he's going it alone. They would stand behind him. And so that is where the next complication is. Ladies and gentlemen, from these things, you get one thing. What Rigathi was saying was that he doesn't like Matiangi, in not so many words, because the conditions he put for him are putting him in a very complicated situation. As I've told you, if he forms a party, then he is like going against Uhuru's wish to grow Jubilee and revive Jubilee. And that means Matiangi will be going into these negotiations or into this race without the blessings of Uhuru Kenyatta, which means money. He will go without money, which makes him a weaker candidate, somebody who cannot go past Kisii. So that is the first trap. If he goes the way Rigathi wants him to, and he decides to form a party, go against Jubilee, he is in for trouble. Two, for him to get the support of the Kisis, he must be 100% sure. He must convince those people that he is going to the ballot. That is impossible because he must still come to the table of negotiations. And in that table, Matiangi's choices are very few. He can either be a running mate or wait to be given a post in that arrangement. I don't see a case where Kalonzo will be Matiangi's running mate. And also, like I told you, it's very difficult for Rigathi to also convince Kikuyus that we go into this race without even a second position. Well, ignore these claims of we don't even want power, we don't even want... No. All we want is to punish Ruto. That is lies. Everybody here wants power. And if there is a community that has benefited from power, not that everybody in that community is doing very well, but I can tell you that there are some things that people consider normal in Mount Kenya that are luxury in some places. And that is because of how power is. When you are in power, there are some things you get. Proximity to power everywhere in the world gives you certain privileges and access. And so even now, the opposition to William Ruto has nothing to do with just ensuring he doesn't win and then whoever wins. No, it has everything to get Kikuyus back in control, get the people of Mulima back in control. That is what Rigathi hopes for. And that is why I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that it will be very difficult for Rigathi to just tell people that, you see, we are supporting a candidate in Jubilee and is from Kisii, and in this race, we have nothing. We are waiting to be given maybe a premier post. No, very few people will turn out to vote. They may agree, but very few people will turn out. Like I told you, when they hated Raila Odinga in 2022, and they were fully behind William Ruto, the turnout was so low that had people not been told to go and bring them, had MPs not been told to go and bring these people and mobilize them to come and vote, the turnout would have been lower than 65%. Okay? So what I wanted to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is that Rigathi was not making demands out of nowhere. He was just telling Matiangi that I'm not comfortable working with you. I could be wrong, but that is what I think. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Let me hear your opinion in the comment section. And if you found value in this, like this video and share it. Otherwise, in case you missed the launch of Rigathi Gachagua's political party, watch it here.